It's not about getting a biracial baby. It's about getting the wrong baby. It's not what they asked for. And it's not like where they screw up your order at the drive-thru. This is a major deal.
I want my child to be raised in a community where she feels accepted, where she can look next to her in the classroom and see the same person sitting next to her and feel okay.
This entire conversation is insane. You know I have 2 biracial, beautiful daughters by choice. I don't need any special equipment. I don't need to be equipped to raise them in any place. And in fact, I could raise my girls in a completely homogeneous place, because the thing you need to feed children more than anything is love.
Wendy, you're coming from a white woman's perspective. I was a black child raised in an all-white community, and it was tough. I was picked on. I was harassed. I felt like nobody was around that looked. Wait, let me finish. Let me finish, okay? I went through an awful lot, and I think just like a parent that moves their child away from the freeway because their child has asthma, or a parent that moves their child into another situation that's healthier for them, the fact that they are culturally aware of this child's needs, to me, I think should be celebrated, and I think should be uplifted and appreciated, not criticized, because I know what I'm talking about.
No, Deneen, you are talking like a black woman then. My children are not black. My children are multiracial, which means that they have ingested in them all kinds of cultures and all kinds of feelings.
One of the most deepest concerns I have in our world today, which is big people preying on little people. Big people must take care of little people. Without that, we are screwed.
As a person that's been through this on almost every level, unfortunately, there's no coming back from it. Like, I'm a guy that will... I go to therapy all the time. I'll never come back fully. I'll never be a normal person. Look at me. I can honestly say at 42 years of age that it wasn't my fault. When I was 32, maybe I would tell you that it's not my fault, but I would say that it would be 75% not my fault, and a little bit I would say that it was still, I had it coming, I agreed to it, I let things happen. Like, I don't think people realize, unless it's actually happened to you, the magnitude of what it does to a human being and how difficult it is to switch and come back to it like a normal citizen.
Yeah, Jason, I'm so glad you made that powerful sort of testimonial, because people think that this is like no big deal.
I thank you, Jason, for speaking out, because I think you're giving people the courage to have a voice rather than feel ashamed. Too many people out there are giving the males virtual high fives and not really realizing the damage and the repercussion.
This is their plan to prevent sexual assault. How does learning how to have successful threesomes and, O-face orals and great orgasms have anything to do with that?
The curriculum talks about what constitutes as consent. It talks about boundaries. It talks about healthy relationships, how not to victim blame, how not to slut shame. So titles aside, I think this type of education is absolutely beneficial.
Well, if you want to look at every measurable unwanted outcome in a college campus, particularly when it comes to unwanted sexual contacts, pregnancies, STD, assaults, you find alcohol.
This is a great example of how our youth can be hypervigilant and their eyes peeled on social media, because guess what? If that young eyewitness didn't take those screen grabs of that Snapchat video, that girl would have died.
Her whole life, it is really sad. I remember being like a comedian in my 20s, and my manager said, look at this girl. She's a little girl doing stand-up at the Laugh Factory.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, this girl's 10, and she's so much further in her career than I am in my mid-20s.
The one downside to a conservatorship for addiction is, well, it's kind of a big one, which is that while you save the person's life in the short term, the necessary desire to get better doesn't sometimes come from the individual. So when the conservatorship ends, they don't really want to be sober. In this country, Samantha, you're allowed to use drugs until you die. That's the nature of this country. You just can't say, I'm going to kill myself with drugs, which is what's crazy. I want to talk for just a minute here about Ebola virus. People are flipping out about that.
So,
you're much more likely to get in a car accident tonight than have problems with Ebola.
Oh, great.
Poor Anita. She's going to be nervous.
Much better.
Way to put that out there.
You guys, don't be so primitive. Let's be realistic about that. It's something to stay informed. Wash your hands. Don't put your hands to your face. This is what you can do to reduce the risk of many different infectious diseases. Sam, what do we have on this guy's social profile?
Oh my gosh. His social profile, Dr. Drew, is full of bright red waving flags.
A lot of what the terrorists are doing is they're using social media to recruit individuals. I don't agree with it, but it's very tactical, very smart on their part.
The guy said to her, he didn't notice me, he said, ISIS is liberating, and was like talking about it. I called 911 and I tried to explain what I heard. And to be honest, the 911 operator kind of dismissed me. She's like, well, a lot of people are talking about ISIS. I'm like, I thought we were supposed to bring up when we hear something suspicious. You kind of want a little pat on the back. I mean, they've been begging us to do this
We'll give you a little applause,
since 9/11.
Well done.